Hey everyone, this is Imogen One as I stand this fight. I'm reading one of Abbey's dreams from the Haunted. So enjoy. And yes, I'm gonna stumble a lot too, so beware of that. Winds blew in my hair, into my face, and I laughed out loud as I tried to shove the black curls away. The radio blasted in a rhythm of earth's shaking bass beats, soaring guitar riffs as they raced toward the highway. Down the highway meant. Eyes closed. I leaned my head back and felt the vibrations moving through my entire body. My toes curled into my boots and tingled with pleasure. Throwing my arms wide, I caught the breeze and rode the wind. There was no barrier between the sky and me. We were one. A shriek of pure joy escaped my lips, as I felt as light as air. If I wanted to, any second now, I could float away, out of the car. The music was the only thing holding me down, the only thing anchoring my soul. A hand reached out and caught my arm. Our fingers snagged, intertwined. I turned my head and held that hand close to my cheek. When my eyes opened, there was no surprise that I registered brown eyes, curly hair. No surprise, but no heat either. Ben grinned at me as the wild music faltered, sputtered out, only for a second. But it happened. "Let's take a break, babe," he called. I nodded. The music played on, a different song now, but one with the same driving urgency behind it. The car slowed and came to a stop. I looked down, surprised to see that we weren't in Ben's green Jeep, but in a red sports car instead. The scenery around us shimmered and changed from an endless orange desert to a 50s-style silver boxcar diner. We were inside now, and I took in the kitschy decor. Plastic-covered menus, their sides greasy and flecked with dried bits of food, set on round, red vinyl tables. The floor was covered in black and white checkered linoleum with curls and peeling edges. A jukebox was on, and the song, "I Only Have Eyes for You," echoed through the small room. Ben grabbed my hand again, flipped it over, palm side up. He began to trace it, following the lines that crisscrossed up there. A sense of déjà vu came over me as my stomach tied in knots and dropped to the floor. I jerked my hand away. I should tell him not to. Something. I had to tell him something. But then he smiled at me. None of my misgivings vanished. "Want to dance?" "Of course. This was happy. This was fun. Right?" He pulled me close, and suddenly the music was louder, completely enveloping us. I glanced around and noticed that the diner was empty. No waitresses, no staff, not even another customers. He steered us to the corner, hidden from view of the register, the counter, even the kitchen. It was our own private stage. The music pushed in, crowding around us and filling my ears. My head ached at the sound of it. Over and over again, the same song played. Ben spun me once. I lanced down the wall. Dizzy and out of breath, he came closer. "You're so beautiful, Abbey. How could I ever tell you? Have I ever told you that? I don't know." Those words sent a shiver down my spine as I closed my eyes. Was this the feeling I'd been waiting for? His feet nudged mine as he slid one leg closer. I pressed my back against the wall and arched my spine. I didn't know why. I did. But it felt good, right? He accepted my wordless invitation and came a flush against me. I blushed when I looked down and realized I was straddling his leg. I started to move away, pull back. "Don't! he whispered, catching both of my hands, pinning them down to the wall on either side of me. Stay! I was helpless in his grip. I didn't feel trapped. Yet, he was holding me in place. Bending me down, he started kissing my neck, and my knees went limp. Abbey! Abbey, he said. The music flared and then died down to a low buzz. It was like it was playing directly on a soundtrack inside my brain. Again and again and again, the loop repeated. I only have eyes for you, for you, for you. His murmurs bled together, and I closed my eyes again, feeling the beat of my heart thumping in the tune of those words. Abbey, 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 Astrid. My eyes flew up and I held desperately still. What did he say? What did he just call me? Ben must have felt my body go rigid because he raised his head too. What did you... I licked my lips, gone instantly dry. Say... Abbey. I called you Abbey. I held his gaze and searched his eyes, looked for something. Anything. He smiled at me again and leaned in until his lips were just a fraction of an inch away from mine. Do you prefer goddess? Light of my light? Light of my life. All I deserve? I'd gladly name you any of those things. That shiver came back again. This is what I wanted. This was real, and I wanted him. I slid my hands out from underneath his and wrapped them around his neck. I like goddess, I whispered back. He grinned a very sexy grin. Goddess is it, and his eyes changed to green. I slammed against the wall, wrenching myself away from him. Horror clawed its way up from the pits of my stomach and lodged into my throat. Brown eyes gazed at me in concern. Abbey, why did you do that? I screeched. Do what? He asked. Change your eyes to green, my mind screamed. You've changed your eyes. But I couldn't force the words past the lump in my throat. I took his every square inch of his face. It was his face, not Caspian's. It was just me and Ben, here, together. Didn't I want this? This was normal. I was being normal. I took a step closer and threw my arms around him again. Forget it, I whispered in his ear. Bad memory. Now, where were we? He turned his head and our lips met. I pushed away the feeling that I was doing something wrong. Reaching up, I threaded my fingers through his hair, but instead of curly, his hair was long and smooth. It flashed in and out before me, changing from dark brown to that shocking pale blonde. I moaned from the confusion and frustration of it all. I'd been moaned too, then desperate, then deep in the kiss. I was frozen in place when his eyes changed again. Green eyes, blonde hair, a strand of black appeared and my stomach dipped. My blood pressure soared. I was hot and achy, faint, feverish. Caspian, he was what I wanted. I lost control, only for a second. But I wanted to feel him, to taste him. I crushed my mouth into his and teased the edge of his lips with my tongue. Instantly he granted me entry, and the back of my brain exploded from the pleasure. There was no mistaking it. This was the reprise I sought so desperately. My eyes fluttered open and shut while Caspian weaved in and out of existence. Brown hair, brown eyes, Ben, green eyes, blonde hair, Caspian, green, brown. I caught myself. Was this wrong? To use Ben this way? Yeah, I knew the answer to that question was 1,000 times yes. Tearing myself away, this time was good. I stepped out of his arms and away from the wall. I can't. I'm sorry. And then I was running. Out in the diner. Out with the car. I jumped into the passenger seat and put my head between my knees. I was going crazy. Again. Ben came in, bursting out of the diner, and called my name. I raised my head, lifted a hand, whether to call him over or warn him to stay away. I didn't know, but suddenly the car roared to life. Cassian was sitting in the driver's seat. I did a double take to make sure it wasn't really Ben doing the weird flashing again. But Ben was still by the diner. We peeled out of the gravel driveway, splitting stones as we went, and I noticed that my hand was still up. Now look, it's catching the wind again. What's happening? I choked out. My throat was dry and scratchy. Why is this happening to me? Caspian didn't answer. Instead, he turned on the radio. A violin wept in sadness. Don't you know, my love? A female voice crooned, soft and full of emotion. Would you die, my love? I am waiting, waiting for you. These ashes turned bone. Waiting, waiting for you. Waiting, waiting for you. As a violin echoed the singer's dying last words, Cassian turned his gaze into mine and looked straight into my eyes. I'm waiting, waiting for you. That is the end of the dream, people. I will see you when I return